Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another UKPW Insider. It is I, the mouthpiece from the southeast, Kieran Kross, and today we bring you another one that's a little bit different today. Someone who's not one of our in-ring competitors, but someone you're going to be very familiar with behind the scenes on the mic. It is the one and only Jake Pugh. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Saying, how's lockdown treating you?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. It's been tricky at first, but starting to find just little things to do here and there, you know, that you're not used to doing around the house or anything like that. But I was doing fine with it at first, but now we're getting into the new year. I'm missing wrestling a lot more now, especially after watching the Royal Rumble. It just makes you want to get back to it all now, you know. But
yeah, a bit different having a Royal Rumble with no crowd, wasn't it? Really, but still,
I know,
still a very good Rumble though. The Rumble matches were still very, very good this year, which was great.
The Rumbles were great. The Rumbles were great.
So, for those who are not familiar with you, you've signed for UKPW. First of all, how excited are you for that opportunity? And tell us a little bit about what you actually do, what you're going to bring to UKPW.
I'm really excited, actually. I was very well aware of UKPW for a long while, and especially of a lot of the guys and girls that have been involved with it as well. So as soon as I got the call, they asked me if I'd be interested. I said, yeah, I'd be very interested. And jumped at the chance, really, especially with the whole relaunch and everything. So lots of exciting things that's going to be coming together when we're allowed to have show. I mean, as you know yourself, yeah. So yes. So I've been a MC and commentator for, it will be 11 years this year. Wow, that's crazy. And so I've been working for promotions such as EWW, which has been around for 20 years, which is Extreme World Wrestling, run by Stu Allen, run by Brett Meadows, and also DOA Wrestling, which is run by the Potato Head, as well. Let's call him Alec Burnett. He'll kill me for that. So I've worked for multiple other promotions, but they're sort of like my home promotions anyway, really. So.
You mentioned Stu Allen there. I mean, everyone knows Stu, who he is, what he's about. I mean, what's it like working for Stu?
Well, funny enough, Stu's actually the reason why I got into business in the first place. So this goes way back to when I was about 7, 8 years old. Do you remember the World Wrestling magazines, your OW magazines at all that used to have over here? So I used to collect. I was a massive collector of those, and there used to be a British section. It only just started doing a British section back then, because there wasn't a whole lot of, not like compared to now anyway, there was very few promotions that was going around then that were still sort of doing the whole world of sports stuff, you know, which was fine, you know, but there wasn't anything compared to what the Americans were doing anyway. And then I remember flicking through the magazine, and I remember seeing this big jacked up dude with long dark hair, black face paint, spiked shoulder pads and tattoos, and I was like, oh my god, who the hell is this? And then seeing that it was all British and stuff like that, I was hooked immediately. And then I think a couple of years later, I pestered my dad to take me to the shows. Did a 2.5-hour drive from Essex to Oxfordshire. And then as time went on after that, I started reviewing the shows for their website. And then lo and behold, I was asked to become one of the commentators. So it's me and a chap called Ricky Slatter, who is one of the most underrated commentators in the country. He's been doing it for a long time now, a lot longer than what I have. And it's been fun. It's been really fun. And Stu's a really good guy as well. He's someone who definitely pulls no punches with people. And if you haven't read his book, I highly recommend it. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
I've not read his book, but I'm familiar with his Stiff Right Hand podcast. I've listened to many episodes on there. I highly recommend it for those who haven't. They're great. They're great listens. They really, really are. So UKPW. So we're going to kind of see you, you know, getting the scoop backstage, interviewing the talent, asking the important questions. Maybe not. Might get to have your presence join us on the commentary team now and again. If you do, I've got a nice little seat for you. It's in the middle, keeping me as far away from that Ross Briffett idiot as possible. Okay, so that, if you could, I'd really appreciate it. Just throwing it out there, but we'll see.
Well, I'll do the best I can as long as it doesn't get the fisticuffs. Then we're all right, So.
No, I get every time, we've seen Dow Jones or one of the other guys get in Ross's face. I'm always just thinking, look, just take the guy away. And they still put me everywhere. Wherever I go to work, he's there. So, it'd be nice to sort of maybe get someone else to sort of sit between the two of us so I don't have to sit next to him in his cheap Poundland suit.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. See, someone who talks sense. I love it. So, you briefly touched on how you got into the business through Stu. Great opportunity. It's always about being in the right place at the right time and getting to know people. And then you kind of, people speak to people as well. And then you get an opportunity. You take your opportunity. It was like that with me with UKPW. Before that, I was with BECW announcing and commentating for them. So I've done your role. How do you like your MCing? Because for me, I've always hated it. I've made no secret about it. I always hated it. I always preferred being on the commentary team. How do you enjoy the MCing, talking to the crowd?
Well, first of all, commentaries. There's a certain art to it, and I'm not just saying it either. I think you do a fantastic job at it, from what I've heard as well. Yeah, it's all about. Easy. So it's all about I love MCing, and it's because I love connecting with the crowd, and it's that thought of, I've always seen it as a responsibility, as you are the first guy that comes through that curtain before any wrestlers come through, so it's your responsibility to get that crowd up.
You make the first impression. Yeah,
absolutely. And at first that was tough, but at the same time, the more you do, the more you kind of get used to it, sort of thing,
Yeah.
And it was. I love the good thing about it. Another great thing about it, actually, is obviously, especially in times like these, with obviously mental health awareness and things like that. So no one really knows what's going on behind the closed doors, how people's 100%. Days are at work and things like that. So if you come to a show and we can take your worries of the real world away for 2 hours or whatever, then I'm going to give you that as much as possible. And honestly, I felt that as a responsibility. And I might find someone in the crowd that I might pick on in a nice way, get them amped up a little bit, ask them who their favourite wrestler is and what they're most looking forward to, and amp up the main event and things like that. And that's another thing I enjoy doing as well. It's making that main event feel really special. Like, this is what you're here for, building the show. And I love it. But I'm really starting to miss it now, I think, because it's been absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say.
It does. And what you said about, with the, real world we live in with mental health, someone who's had my own personal struggles, as have many people, sometimes unless they open up, you don't know what people are struggling with, what goes on behind closed doors. And you're absolutely right. If we can take put, take them out of the real world for a few hours, put them into an environment where they feel safe, comfortable, entertained, happy, even if they're just happy for those few hours. That's what it's all about. It's about having the fun, giving that back to people. That's what I love about it. And that's one of the things I always get out of it. And, but yeah, I mean, I always, I didn't like MCing on commentary. I didn't like the whole, having to be, nice about everybody and whatnot. And, and when Anton Green was running UKPW, I said to him, Anton, I said, I've got to be me. I've got to be me. I can't, brown nose everyone and say the same things and then share the same opinions that Ross Briffett does. I need to be someone different. We need to, have an antagonist sort of thing on commentary, something like that. And I got the opportunity to which I was thankful. And lo and behold, back-to-back 2 years in a row, personality of the year.
Wow.
I think I'm ripping off Fentos here. Sorry, Fentos. Gimmick infringement there. It was a smart move.
Oh, careful.
I know. But we're friends. We're okay. We're okay. We get on well. I'm just hoping I'm not going to get any earful off of him and Dow Jones.
I got you back. It's all right, don't worry.
Oh, that's all right then. I appreciate that. So, Yeah, let's touch on the other places you worked as well. You said World War Wrestling. That's another place you've worked for. Have you noticed any differences between the promotions you've worked? Does each bring something a little bit different? Or do you do your job differently in each of those promotions? Tell us a little bit more backstory about working in various places.
Yeah, so with EWW, I'm a commentator. So very much what you do at UKPW, and love telling the stories. More than anything, it's not really just about calling the moves. It's all about, taking the listeners, the viewers onto that roller coaster story.
Yeah.
It's all about drama. But the best thing I love more than anything, the more larger than life your character is, the more easiest it is for me, even for you for that matter, to do our jobs. Because it's all about turning it up a notch. And so the more larger than life you are, the more easy it is for us to put you over, shall we say. So I do that at EWW. While we're wrestling, I'm the MC. In terms of the actual shows themselves, EWW is more very character driven. More the wrestling that I actually grew up loving. So it's more of the larger than life characters.
Yeah,
like a comic book coming off the page.
More so like how it used to be back in the 80s, where it used to be big sort of gimmick driven characters, as opposed to the more modern day kind of people being more themselves than
absolutely. And that's where World Wrestling comes in as well. So the company has evolved over the years, and these days it is more about guys that go out there and they are who they are, and it's more on an athletic basis, which is cool. It's all about variety, and I love my larger than life characters and big guys and things like that, but I also do love two guys and girls that can go in there and can just tear it up, and have a good athletic legit contest, and that's something that's very unique about the places that I work as well. DOA is very unique as well in having that fine balance between the two, of having great characters and having great wrestling as well, and yeah, it's another company. It's been around for a while, but it's a company that's still growing, and oh gosh, I mean, the amount of guys that have came on and off the shows over the years has been great. I think it was just before lockdown we had Martin Kirby. Obviously we've got like Brad Slayer, Damien, Ash Draven. And also we're wrestling as well. People like Will Cruz, Mercedes Blaze, Guy Smithson, the Rebellion tag team, which are a fantastic tag team. And obviously in the EWW, there's guys like your Dominators and your UK Pitbulls and Flatliners, and also the guys that are coming out of the academy as well. So obviously you've got people like Grayson Dawn, Lupo Lee, and all those it's just great companies to work for, and no matter how long or how short the companies may have been around, there's always plans for the future.
Yeah,
and it's always great to see companies grow. And you know what, and even with UKPW, when I was approached about coming in to UKPW, I could see what had been done in the past, and when they were telling me what they had planned going forward, it was just I couldn't say no. I could tell that they're really thinking about what's going on here,
And that's you hit the nail right on the head. From someone who's been with UKPW from earlier on to now, knowing what's going to happen, backstage, what we know, what's in the pipeline and things like that. All right, it's all secrecy from fans, etc., and all that lot. But as a fan as well as an employee of UKPW, I'm probably just as excited as any fan, because it is taking that next level, and the fact that we've got that opportunity to have this. All right, it's been difficult to have this big long absence with COVID, etc. It's allowed a lot more preparation from that side of things, to when it comes around to putting on our first show, when we restart again. Fans who have been to UKPW before to come along and be like, okay, this isn't the UKPW we remember, but wow, this is something else, and in a very positive way. And I think that's, that for us who are going to be a part of that family, that are going to be contributing to giving those fans that, it really gives me goosebumps. It really does give me goosebumps.
And that's good to hear as well. And the most important thing, I think, out of all this is you never stop being a fan.
No.
You know, it's the day you stop loving it is the day you stop doing it. I always say as well, I still get nervous before I go out. And people say, "Oh, you're nervous? You've been doing this for a while." I go, listen. When I stop getting nervous, I stop doing it. You know, because that helps you. You know, it's that adrenaline rush. You know, and yeah, I hope that never goes away. I don't think it will because I love it too much. So
let's hope not. I mean, I get what you mean. I mean, I still get a little bit nervous before every show, but with me, you know, kayfabe aside, with Ross next to me, because I know how we interact, and I know when he's in a good mood for it and he's up for it, I know that we're going to create some kind of magic. We're both going to be on top form, and that's the thing. I notice some people might see it when they go back and watch footage. For example, the last match we ever had, which was the UKPW Championship last man standing match between Alexander Roth and Dale Jones. You know, you could hear the story I was telling. I invested because I have this thing where I try to kind of go into each show knowing as little as possible about the matches. Only tell me what I need to know, because I like my reactions to be genuine, because I feel if I'm delivering the drama and that, as you said, it's kind of, you know, the storytelling being a part of that roller coaster, you know, we're just the narrators of that story. You know, they give the visuals, we give the audio narration of what's going on, and we need to do the guys justice. So, you know, for your position, who's going to be doing backstage interviews, MCing, you know, whatever the company have for you, you're in that prime position to be able to, you know, get the scoop on, you know, when you're doing those interviews and that with, you know, for example, oh, is there a potential rivalry developing between these two guys? I'm going to ask the difficult questions here. I'm going to get to the root of it. They may, you know, tell you where to go sort of thing. But it gives us you get the scoop, and it sort of like, you know, builds the tension up, and we're to the point where, you know, you might have Ross being like, oh, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Jake's picked up on something there. And did you see the look on that guy's face? You know, I'm not certain this is done. You know, it's just, you know, there straight away, your job, it has been done because you've also given us something to work with. And then we give you something to work. It's just this nice chain of events that, you know, it's the way, you know, collectively, you know, we all are just making our jobs a hell of a lot better and a lot easier. And that's something I'm really looking forward to with working with you, is because you're already experienced, we're experienced, and, you know, we know a lot of the guys, we know we don't know some of the new signings that we've got. So it's, you know, that nice mixture of new and familiar as well, which is, you know, exciting as well. So, you know, we're going to be seeing people like the previous interview I did was with Wendy Louise, who's the first a member of our women's division, which has participated on Insider. She's not had an in-ring debut yet, but yet she's raring to go and things like that. So it's kind of like, well, I've seen people like Kimmy Akiss wrestle before, and you know, and I've seen Clementine wrestle before, and it's kind of like, here's someone coming in completely unknown, and it's exciting because we don't know what we're going to get from them, you know. So I find that absolutely amazing. So for you in your position, where, if you could sign anyone, if you know, management came up to you and said, right, we want your recommendation for one tag team, one singles male competitor, and one female singles competitor, who would be your selection for each of those categories, if it was down to you?
Well, tag team, Rebellion, straight away. I've known those guys for quite a while now, and they are I have to say, because they'll kill me otherwise, they are the current World War Wrestling Tag Team Champions. They are, and I've seen them grow, especially after they came out of Dropkicks, and they're starting to pick up, or they was picking up a lot more work when they came out, as they were progressing in other promotions. And obviously they're not even at their peak yet, and like, they're still really young. So the matches that they're pulling off now, which is great, imagine what they're going to be like when, you know, they're in their proper prime. Yeah. So that's something that I'd love to see. Female, hands down, Sky Smithson. Sounds very, very biased because she's actually a personal friend of mine. but she's everything that I like in a wrestler. You know, she's got character, work rate, promo skills, you know, athleticism, and she's someone who's she's done work abroad as well, and she's someone who should definitely be getting a lot more work out there than what she has done. She wrestles for Eve as well, which is a great promotion too.
Wow.
And part of the Uprising faction. Male wrestlers, hands down, Matt Walter, who's, I think he's wrestled for UKPW before. Along with he was on with Ashmore, I think it was.
Ashmore's, yeah. Yep.
Matt Walters, hands down, the most underrated wrestler and a super nice guy as well. I first met Matt Walters when I was recording commentary for Falling Star Wrestling, and we've been good friends ever since. And we do miss our curry nights together down Brick Lane. He is just such a genuine nice guy and very quiet individual. But as soon as that bell rings, that's it. He's all business. Hands down, one of the best talents this country has ever produced.
Well, I'm hoping that management are watching this closely because, obviously, you know, we are familiar with Matt Walters, so that everyone in UKPW knows exactly what he's about. You know, in terms of additions to the female division, I think you've made a very, very good point, and I think, you know, maybe management might be a bit crazy not to make that one work, but we'll see. You know, we've still got the roster being announced every week, the new additions.
Course, yeah.
So, you know, and I don't know who's being signed. You know, so when it goes up, I'm like, oh, they're back, or okay, this is cool. For example, you know, the other week we had it was announced Jordan Saeed. I was like, wow, okay, that's a big signing.
Really good guy.
I didn't expect to see him in UKPW. And
Jordan's another guy who I saw when I first saw the Rebellion. The Rebellion weren't even the Rebellion then. You know, Torino and Taylor were singles competitors then. And that was where I first saw Jordan. And then I saw Jordan get on WrestleForce as well. And he's in really good shape. And he's someone who's, one thing I love about Jordan, he's always asking questions. He's always looking to learn, whatever it may be, whether it be promos, whether it be his workability, how he looks, ring attire, whatever it is. I mean, it sounds cliche, but he's someone who could legit be a student. And he is, I think he's done work abroad. I'm not too sure. But he's definitely someone to watch, so, especially in UKPW as well. So watch this space.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do. As I said, I was really pleasantly surprised when he was announced. So, you know, where did it all start for you in terms of your love for wrestling? What was your earliest wrestling memory? What was your first exposure to wrestling where you was kind of, oh, what's this? You know, and then become hooked?
Funny enough, my first experience to wrestling was Rocky III. And
Thunderlips.
I'd never seen a wrestling match or anything like that before. My dad was a massive Rocky fan, and obviously when I was younger, might have even been in play school then, I can't even remember, and was just sitting on the settee, and I remember just seeing Thunderlips, or who was Thunderlips, and I was just blown away by it all, you know. And after I'd seen that, I used to go to a boot sale with my nan every Sunday. And I remember one time just looking at this stall and seeing the video, and I recognised the face straight away. And it was Hulk Hogan, Real America. And on the video, it was, and the very first wrestling match that I ever watched, it was on that video, and it was Hulk Hogan versus in a steel cage match from WrestleFest, I believe it was. It's the same show where Ultimate Warrior and Bobby Heenan had the Weasel Gown match.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and ever since then, I was pretty much hooked on it, to be honest with you. And then it was only when we got Sky, and then I started watching it around that era where you had The Undertaker, Yokozuna, Bret Hart, Diesel. And then it's just gone from there, really. Loved it ever since. Got in and ECW came around, because I was a big ECW fan back in the day.
Right, so.
Righty, so yeah.
Right,
So I got introduced to all these different kind of styles of wrestling, and then the very first piece of wrestling I ever saw live was we used to have a caravan in a Great Yarmouth holiday camp, and little did I know then who they were, but it was WAW. And I remember seeing, I think it was Ricky Knight, Carl Kramer, Paul Terrell, and a guy called Ivan Trebs. I've still got the pictures somewhere. I'll try and find it for you, and I'll send them to you later. But
yeah, definitely.
I just remember the colourful ring, and I remember we were all sitting on the dance floor because obviously the wrestling ring was on the dance floor. And I remember we was all giving Ricky Knight abuse, and he went to climb out the ring to shout at us, and we all got up and ran. So that was, yeah. And I must have been about 5 then, yeah, something like that. And yeah, it's great memories, really good memories.
Yeah,
And
I love how your exposure was Hulk Hogan, similar to mine. Obviously, me showing my age, mine was also Hogan in a steel cage match, but was with King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 2, the VHS tape set up in Sainsbury's when I was sitting in a trolley being pushed around by my granddad. And me just thinking, wow, like, luckily my granddad was a huge fan. So I started asking, I was only about 3 years old, but I remember just like asking questions about it. And yeah, and that was it for me. And you know, being a Hulkamaniac growing up, I mean, even to this day,
that's a cool T-shirt, brother. I like that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's what I got, because I realised I didn't have any NWO Hogan stuff, so I went and got this one. But yeah,
personally, my favourite Hogan, to be honest with you.
With me, it was I remember, because when we mentioned ECW back then, I used to watch obviously WWE. WCW and ECW, and I remember watching ECW at one point, and my dad came in and he was like, "This ain't WWE." I said, "No, it's not." He went, "That ain't WCW either." I went, "No." He went, "What's this?" I said, "ECW." He went, "How many more wrestling shows are you gonna watch?" And I went, "But these are different." And that, and he went, "Well, how?" And he sort of sat and watched some of it, and obviously you had the more risque stuff with the women being a little bit almost borderline 18 rated, and obviously more violence there. And he was kind of like, "Now I see why you're watching it." He said, "Is it hitting that? You're hitting that age now?" And I went, "No, I'm watching it for the violence, not the women. The violence, like, you know." But my dad was kind of like, I think he had a little bit thing for like beauty.
It's nice to know he's looking out for you, though. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, nice one, Dad. But but no, it's great that, you know, Hogan again, you know, an influence. And I remember I watched Rocky 3 after I knew who Hogan was, but I watched Rocky 3 because my grandfather, who was a massive boxing fan and loved Rocky, he turned around and was just like, "Oh, he's in a Rocky movie." Yeah, and he showed it to me, and then I kind of ended up watching the rest of the film because Mr. T was on there, who I remembered from WrestleMania 1, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, Mr. T's in this as well." And I used to watch A-Team at the time as well on TV, so I was like, I'm familiar with all these people, but I didn't really know Stallone. And then obviously you watch and you see what a great movie Rocky 3 is, and then I was kind of, okay, maybe I should watch, like, you know, the others, and you know, and then that's when I sort of become a Rocky fan. But yeah, Hogan again, just, you know, I know he gets stick, but, you know, what he did for the business at the time, you know, is just...
Yeah, I know, very, very controversial over the years, but you know what? Listen, when you think of wrestling, he's probably the first name that springs to mind. So yeah, that says a lot of things.
That thing about never meet your heroes, they're disappointing. A lot of guys in the States, you know, used to comment saying, "Oh, don't meet Hogan. He's, you know, he's arrogant. He's this, that, and the other." And when I met Hogan in London in 2015, I think it was, literally the guy couldn't have been any nicer. Luckily for me, when we posed for the photo, because I've got the video, my friend filmed the moment me meeting him, and I sort of come up and we had this big hug, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm hugging my hero." And there's me, in, like, who's in my 30s, and I'm marking out over my childhood hero. And the thing is, the photo that we've got is different to what looks in the video, because the guy's camera stopped working, the photographer's thing, so he had to sort it out and reset his laptop and all this sort of. So Hogan called me over to the table when he did the autograph and that, and we just stand there for about 10-15 minutes talking, just me and him, while everyone else is in the queue impatient. So then we ended up having the photo done, and just talking to him, I was just like, you know, this guy is really nice. You know, he really, really is. He's not, it doesn't seem arrogant at all or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I found that the only guy I've ever met that I've never been keen on was Alberto Del Rio. He was literally the worst guy I've ever met out of any. And
really?
I set Flair, Michaels, Hart, and all that lot. Alberto Del Rio, number one. The worst.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer wasn't very pleasant when I was on a show with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just it's funny actually because I was doing XWA and he was on the show, and every time he spoke to you, he would literally be nose to nose with you near enough and give you like a one or two word answers, and I was a bit like, okay, all right. And then I remember when I went to WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, and then we went to the Performance Center the day after, and I don't know how it happened, but I just got chatting to Steve Corino, and so everyone else is walking around talking to people, getting autographs and stuff. I was sat on a ring at the Performance Center on an apron, just having a 15-minute chat, just me and Steve Corino. And I said to him, I went, "Is Tommy Dreamer a legit heel?" And I told him the story, and he said, "Tommy is like that with everybody. He is a legit heel." And I just thought, I don't know why I sounded like Vince Russo there, but but yeah, I think that was really been the only person I've sort of, nothing personal or anything. Do you know what? That might have just been his sense of humour or whatever, but just I was a bit offish. I did get the chance to meet Vader though, and that was pretty cool. Pretty sad at the same time as well, but it was just a quick handshake and a hello, my name's Jake, and that was it. But Vader was one of my heroes growing up, and Vader was one of my heroes.
He was incredible for a big guy.
Oh, he was unbelievable.
He was incredible for a big guy. Guys like him and Bam Bam Bigelow were just phenomenal for their size. The athleticism. Man. Wow.
My favourite of all time, though, was always The Undertaker. So.
Oh, goes without saying. That goes without saying. Without that, I mean, I get stick for it, but I'm still a big Triple H fan. Like since the early DX days, even to now, I just loved him. For me, I loved it when he was just the ultimate heel throughout the Attitude Era. For me, he was just amazing. And I know he gets a lot of stick for like behind the scenes stuff and all that lot, which I don't always agree with. But for me, Triple H was just, he
got to look
put
at
it
what
off
he's
as a
doing
good
on
as a
an
face.
to see how good he is,
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. But yeah, no, I remember when I met Howard Finkel, and I was made up. Literally, you had people like Lita and Trish Stratus, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. You had the Mountie, you had Demolition, you had all these other legends that I loved. But I had this really lovely, warm feeling meeting Howard Finkel because he was the voice.
So cool.
Exactly. When you've done MCing, as you do, and you've grown up from the 80s, watching it from the 80s all the way to the present day, it's Howard Finkel. He's like the granddad of the grandfather, the godfather of ring announcing. That voice and he was the most humble person who was just absolutely wonderful with everyone. It was like, he was just seemed to be happy to be embraced by every fan that came up to see him, and I loved that. It was really lovely seeing how even young kids that were there in attendance knew who he was, and
that's amazing.
It was, and that's one thing I love is when you see the kids that kind of weren't around when certain guys were in their prime or at the top, and yet they have become so educated that they're that they're familiar with them now and they can appreciate what they've did. My son was the same thing when he met Edge. That for me was a proud moment. So just standing there, I'm saying nothing, just watching Edge and my son having a 10-minute conversation about school and wrestling. And when Edge turned around and said to my son, "Okay, apart from me, who are your current favourite wrestlers right now?" And my boy turned around and said, "Well, I love The Undertaker." He said, "But I love Dean Ambrose." He said, "Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Adam Cole," and all this. He was coming out with all these names. And Edge sort of was just like, wow. Normally, kids your age, it's all about the Roman Reigns, the John Cenas, those guys. He said, this kid knows his wrestlers. Like, he knows.
That's great. That's a sign as well, mate,
Absolutely. Oh, my phone's ringing. I know. My new phone, I hate the bloody ringtones. Cool. But yeah, so the women's division, as we've very briefly touched on, what are you expecting? You've seen the championship belt, which is a thing of beauty. Yeah. What are you expecting from the females that you are familiar with that or have already been announced?
It's going to be really, really interesting. Because there's some of them I've never actually properly seen work before. There's been a few, like Kimia Kiss and also Clementine. She's not long started out, but from what I have seen of her, she's fantastic. Very marketable as well, which is very important. Not too familiar with most of the others, but I'll be getting to know them as the shows go on. Obviously, women's wrestling as a whole has come along such a long way. So obviously, it's and rightfully so as well. The girls should be right up there with the guys as well. And I think that it's pressure, especially this is a big thing for UKPW as well. So I think when a few of us got to see the belt, I think it made a lot of them go, okay, this is going to be good.
Taking it seriously. It is a very prestigious championship.
I think they took it a lot more seriously than they originally did. Not that they didn't take it seriously, don't get me wrong, but I think after they saw it, I think they realised how much effort they're going to be putting into their women's division as much as the men's once the relaunch show goes ahead, which is great. And it's competition. Everyone's going to be fighting to get to the top. And not just girls that are announced already. It's also girls that could be from any other promotion that may want to come to UKPW as well.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And that's the thing as well. When that belt was revealed to, the talent, the first thing you look at it and go, that title belt is worthy of being on TV. It's that beautiful, that prestigious and important looking. And I think as well with the female competitors as well, they've looked at that and gone, wow, that's our prize. That's what we're going to be challenging for.
Yeah.
They are, UKPW are taking this very, very seriously, as you said. And I think that probably, put a lot of them at ease in some ways. If to say, okay, we're not just going to be, like some promotions, in the past where they've been like, the women have been like just one match on one show and that's it. It's kind of like, we might get 2 or 3 women's matches on a show, for example, and and them to think, okay, yeah, this is, we've made the right choice to sign with UKPW because they mean business. And I can't wait to see what the guys think when we get the new championship belts for the tag teams, the new UKPW championship, which is currently the interregional championship, which there's discussions over rebranding that as something else, which would be exciting to see how that works out. But yeah, it's COVID needs to go. COVID
needs to go. I know
we need to get onto it.
I know it's really, really long and really delayed, but I do see light at the end of the tunnel. And I've said that a lot to people, but I honestly believe it. I do. This won't go on forever. There will be an end to it all, and when we do, it's going to be the biggest party ever.
Oh, I can't wait. It's just, I can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm excited for the fans to see what we're going to bring to them, and we know the production value's gone up. I've obviously spoken to Alex and Jack, and we've got new equipment, which is going to allow us to do things that we've never been able to do before, which is a great plus. But yeah, just to have it all up and running and seeing the look on everyone's faces at what we're going to do. And, I think the main goal, the dream is in, maybe 5 to 10 years down the line, hopefully have a promotion which is worthy of being on television at some point. If we can gradually build up to the numbers to get to that high, I think that's the ultimate goal, is to hopefully maybe be able to get a TV deal out of it. I mean, if we can get that done, the sky's the limit, and it's just,
if, in my honest opinion, if that's not a promoter's goal, why are you a promoter?
Well, some are just happy just doing the rounds and, just...
Of course, yeah, but I can... Just me personally, that if I was a promoter, I'd want to be doing everything that I could to make the promotion successful, to have a production that's cool and free. Just get it on TV. I mean, the internet is kind of television nowadays anyway, in a way. Everything's pretty much watched from a laptop or your phone and things like that. So, I mean, what I know, World of Sport had a revamp a couple of years ago, which I enjoyed, actually, to be honest. I know it got a lot of stick, but
it was okay. I think it was more of it was the camera work that was a letdown, because it cut to the crowd. It was too focused on the crowd than the action, and you missed a lot of spots and things like that. That for me was just really irritating. But I thought the product itself was quite well done. It was, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, and so that would be the ultimate goal, I think. If your company's doing well, it's drawing houses, the production values are amazing, storylines are great, then do everything you can to try and get on TV. And who knows?
Who knows? That's brilliant. Well, we'll see. We can look back in 5 or 10 years' time, and we'll be like, yeah, we made it, or we didn't quite get there, but who knows? But we're along for the ride, and that's the most important thing. We're going to do what we're going to do, and we'll embrace it, and hopefully the fans are going to absolutely love what we're going to bring to them, because it's going to be so good. But yeah, that's brilliant. But Jake, I really appreciate you tuning in to join us to do this interview. I can't wait to see you soon. Hopefully we'll get through all of this. But yeah, this has been absolutely brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Pugh, you're going to see this guy tearing up with the interviews, giving us the scoop, giving us the dirty gossip backstage. Give me something.
As long as I don't get hold of me, then I'm pretty good.
I think we're gonna have a little competition between me and you, and see who's gonna look the best in the old suits and ties and that when we relaunch.
You got it, my friend.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Pugh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.